Hi everyone, thanks for participating in this session. I am Varun Kalra and I am from AAM Technical Support Team, and I'll be your lab instructor throughout this lab session. So you can follow along with me in this lab session and you can complete all your tasks while I'll be doing the same. So this lab session is all about implementing Adobe Audience Manager using server-side forwarding method. And we will also implement customer ID sync using Adobe Launch, and then we will onboard customer offline data on a cross-device data source in AAM. So now let's consider a scenario that you are a digital marketing consultant for a company, and your company has bought AAM licenses, or your company is assessing AAM, and you have been assigned a task to implement it on a test website for POC purpose, or later on you would also need it to be implemented in a production environment. Your company has these three tools already in Marketing Cloud org account: Adobe Analytics, Adobe Audience Manager, and Adobe Launch. Now let's just begin with all the objectives and tasks that need to be followed. So this complete session is divided into three main objectives, and the first one is implementing Adobe Audience Manager using Adobe Analytics, and we'll be using Launch for that purpose. And the tasks in this objective would be, first of all, to get a report suite ID from AAUI. I already have created a report suite, and then download the code from Code Manager in AAUI itself, and then create a web property and extensions in Adobe Launch for AA. And the library code itself will have audience management modules, so we don't need any separate extension for Audience Manager. So Audience Manager will be a part of Adobe Analytics code, and then we will also enable the server-side forwarding in AAUI. That means Adobe Analytics UI. And the second objective is to implement customer ID sync using Experience Cloud ID service. And the tasks in this objective would be to add extension, then add rule and data element, and create a data source in AAM. And the last objective would be to onboard offline data to a data source in Adobe Audience Manager. And so the tasks would be under this objective to create onboarded rates first, and then create inbound file and upload the file to FTP so that the data should come to that data source. We'll be covering all of these steps in detail when I will be I'll be giving you hands-on for all of these exercises. So the question arises, why server-side forwarding is required? Because we have a number of other implementation methods as well in Audience Manager, and why we are using Launch, and why this kind of ID sync. So I can tell you some basic, some high-level advantages of using this method. The first one is, if we are using server-side forwarding, then obviously there will be one less pixel, because there will be no call from the page to Audience Manager server. Calls to Audience Manager server will be made from Adobe Analytics server. So there's one less pixel, and that will improve the page level performance. And the second benefit is that all the benefits that you have got in DIL code, those will be present in this method, and there is nothing less. And the third is it is necessary step to enable Audience Analytics feature. So this method, implementing Audience Manager using this method, is a gateway to open the Audience Analytics feature. As we'll not be covering that feature in detail, but I'll provide you a glimpse of that feature. I'll show you where you can locate that in Audience Manager UI, and which dimensions it will add in AAUI. And last high-level benefit is that whatever AA is collecting, that you can use in Audience Manager, and you will be able to see all the variables collected by Adobe Analytics. You'll be able to see those in unused signal reports in your Audience Manager UI. So let's just begin with our first objective, and that is to create a web property first and then implement Adobe Analytics. So I'll show you what I already have for the purpose of this exercise. I have created a website in Business Catalyst CMS. So this is the URL of my website, labuser6.PearlSecure Systems. This website has a login functionality, and this is the front-end username and password that I have created, and this is the back-end CRM user. And this is important thing because we'll be using this to ID sync with the device ID. So, and from the enablement point of view, I already have Audience Manager, Adobe Analytics, and Launch under one Marketing Cloud org account. I already have Visitor ID service enabled from backend, and I already have Shared Audience enabled provision from backend. So these are the prerequisites. These three are the prerequisites that we have to have in order to implement it in this way. So I'll show you what I have created already. If I go to report suites, I'll be able to search my already created report suite, and this is very basic report suite. I haven't added any customization to the report suite because for the purpose of this activity we need a basic report suite, and we can also work on a customized report suite, but right now there is no need to understand the workflow. And apart from the report suite, I already have this website. So this is very basic Business Catalyst website, and it has a login functionality. And this is the report suite that I already have created. And so now we'll come to launch, and we will start by creating a new web property. So launch is very similar to DTM, but it's much more than DTM. We cannot say it is the next version of DTM. It is much more than that. So if we consider launch as an environment, then it has a number of extensions as its apps. And there are many third-party extensions as well, and you have leverage to add your own extension using Launch APIs. So let's just create a web property with the same name as I have for the website. There is a secondary domain of my website also. I will add that too. So here you can see that I've got my web property created. Now the next thing is we need to add extension. I already have one extension that is core, and it is by default there for all the web properties, and there is no need to disable that. So let's just install extension for Adobe Analytics, and the option that we need to choose is the last one. Let me provide custom library code. So we can get the code from admin code manager. I'm selecting this option because I need to add audience management module as well. So from here, we can go to code manager and we can download the zip file that I already have downloaded. I'll show you that one. So I downloaded and extracted this zip file, and it has a number of JS files. Files that we are interested in is this one, app measurement.js, and this one, app measurement module underscore audience management. So these are the two files that we need, and we need to merge these files into one. First place the code of this file, and then after that place the code of this. And in this beginning of the file, we need to add some custom code as well that I already have created. I'll show you the file. Show you the file that I have made already. So let me open it in this. So if I go here, from here I can see the first library is app measurement code, and then we have got audience management module, and in the beginning I have got some custom code. So the very first part is the report suite ID. Let me change that to my current report suite, that is LSCS Lab User 6, and then the config section, leave it as it is, and make sure that visitor.get instance has your MC.org ID. If you don't know this, you can get it from your consultant or from Adobe Client Care. And then this part is very important. Make sure that you are using your Demdex subdomain here. And then under s.tracking server, make sure that you have mentioned your correct tracking server. This can also be you can also get this from Client Care or your consultant. And then the library code has started. And one more thing to ensure is, before module audience management, you need to add this statement as.load module audience management, and this is very necessary step. So I have this code already. I will copy it and go to my launch property. I'll add it here. So click on save, and I need to add tracking server here as well. So I'll go back to the code. And leave everything as default. You can create some test evars or props if you would like. So let me create a test evar and test prop. Now this extension has been created and there's nothing else required here. But in order to enable this, we need one rule to be defined. So let me name the rule as all pages bottom. If condition is under events, if page bottom, and under action I would add a set variables. Let's just create another set of test variables, one EUR and one prop. Leave everything as default, and Adobe Analytics send beacon. So for the purpose of this activity, I'm using s.t function to send data to Adobe Analytics and treat it as a page view. I click on save and click on save again to save the rule. And the rule has been saved. So for Adobe Analytics, let me create one data element. I'll name it say page name. So I've got rules and one data element, and now we also need customer ID sync to be implemented, so that when the user logs in, its CRM ID gets linked to the device ID. And for that we need extension for Marketing Cloud or Experience Cloud ID service. So I'll install that one with default settings, and I will have to create a rule to implement that customer ID sync. Now because we have a website, so I'll be fetching the customer ID from a cookie. When the user logs in, that user's information, that means CRM ID, will be saved in a cookie. So I should know already in prior which cookie will be saving that customer ID. So first of all, give it a name. Say all pages top authenticated. Now under if condition, let us add library loaded. So this is the event, and under condition I will check for the logged in. The data element, whether the user is logged in or not, I need to find out which data element is that. So I need to go to my website and check by logging in which cookie name variable, which cookie variable is collecting that customer ID. So right now I'm not logged in. Let me log in and see which extra cookie I get here. So you can see this one, and this is the CRM ID. So let me copy this one. This would act as my data element. So one is logged in and another is that this is a new or a returning user. Let us select new user. And then the action to be taken is set customer ID. So here integration code should be the integration code of my audience manager data source, and that data source is a cross-device data source, and the value here will be my data elements value. So we do not know this because we haven't created any data source yet. So let's just go into Audience Manager UI and create a data source. So for that, I'll go to bank.demdex.com. I can also sign in with Adobe ID if I am in the same Marketing Cloud org. Let me just sign in with the Adobe ID.